She was just leaving work. She had no idea she was about to find her family. Evening. Empty parking lot. A flat tire. A rusty nail. He's in a navy suit. A single father. Waiting for his daughter. He takes off his jacket. She offers a warm croissant. A little girl smiles, and feels safe again. Coffee. First glances. Careful touches. A kiss that asks instead of taking. 1 year later. A home. Light. Hands held together. Sometimes love doesn't begin with fireworks. It begins with, "I'm here." This isn't a story about coincidence. It's a story about home.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
When home finds you. I remember that evening clearly. Evenings like that usually aren't meant to be remembered, they're just tired. The warm yellow lights in the bakery had already gone out, but the air still held the scent of vanilla, cinnamon, and fresh dough. I locked the door, wiping my hands on my apron, thinking of only one thing: home, silence, tea, and putting my feet up. My fingers ached slightly from work, my hair smelled like flour, and my heart carried that quiet peace that comes after an honest day. The parking lot was cool. The asphalt still held the warmth of the sun, and the sky was darkening slowly, as if it didn't want to rush. I walked up to my old Toyota, and I knew before I even bent down. A flat tire. Completely flat, and sticking out of the rubber, like an accusation, was a rusty nail. I sighed, not angrily, just tired. Of course. Why not? That's when I noticed him. A man stood nearby, next to a black car. A dark navy suit fit him perfectly. Not loud, not flashy, just quietly confident. He held his phone, glancing toward the entrance as if he were waiting for someone. His posture was assured, but in his eyes, something gentle. Unhurried. I hesitated for a few seconds. Asking for help has never been my favorite thing. But a tire doesn't fix itself, and the evening was getting colder. "Excuse me," I said, stepping closer. "Could you help me?" He looked up, smiled, not wide, warm. "Of course," he said immediately. No pause, no questions. And he took off his jacket. I remember thinking there was something special about that. A man in an expensive suit, without a second thought, laying his jacket aside, kneeling by a stranger's car, getting his hands dirty. "I'm Steven," he said as he loosened the bolts. "I'm waiting for my daughter. She's at a class nearby." "Maya," I replied. "I have a bakery right around the corner." He lifted his head slightly, as if that explained the scent still clinging to me. "That explains why it smells so good out here." I laughed, softly, for the first time that day. And right then, she appeared. "Dad." A bright voice, quick footsteps, a small figure in a jacket a little too big for her. "Grace," he said, his voice softer than anything else that evening. "This is Maya." She looked at me carefully. Seriously. Then she smiled. "You smell like a pastry." I couldn't help it. "Wait," I said, opening the box I still had in my car. "I have something better than the smell." I handed her a warm croissant. still soft, still alive with warmth. Grace took it carefully, like it was something precious. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "It's warm." Stephen looked at us, and in his eyes, I saw what no suit or status could hide. Care, gratitude, and a loneliness he carried with quiet dignity. "All set," he said a moment later, tightening the last bolt. "But you should stop by a tire shop tomorrow." "Thank you so much," I said. And it meant more than just the tire. He put his jacket back on. Grace finished her croissant, leaving crumbs on her fingers and in the evening air. "Maybe," Stephen hesitated slightly. "Would you let me invite you for coffee sometime? Without nails and jacks involved." I looked at him, at Grace, at the evening that had suddenly become important. "Maybe," I said, "but only if I bring the pastries." He smiled, and in that moment, I understood. Sometimes love doesn't begin with fireworks. It begins with a rusty nail, a warm croissant, and a man who takes off his jacket to help. That's how our story began. Quiet, real, ours. Our first date didn't feel like a movie date. There was no rush, no loud music, no nervous anticipation. It was real. Stephen invited me for coffee at a small cozy cafe near the park. I arrived a little early, as I always do. I sat by the window, holding my cup with both hands, realizing I was nervous. Not the old kind of nerves. Softer, warmer. They walked in together, Stephen and Grace. She noticed me immediately and waved like we'd known each other forever. She ran over and hugged me, lightly, naturally, as if her heart had already decided. "Hi, Maya," she said. "You smell good again." I laughed and crouched down to her level. "And are you going to eat dessert before coffee again?" She nodded seriously. I felt Stephen's gaze. He wasn't just smiling. There was gratitude in his eyes. And something else. Careful, deeply personal. We sat down. Grace chose a strawberry pastry. I noticed how she kept reaching for me, showing me drawings from her notebook, asking if I liked fairy tales, touching my sleeve when she laughed. Later, when she wandered over to the display case, Stephen spoke quietly. "She misses her mom. She passed away from cancer 2 years ago." He didn't say it dramatically, just honestly. His voice was steady, but his eyes held a pain that doesn't disappear, it simply learns how to exist. "Sometimes," he added, "she reaches for people who feel warm to her." I didn't know what to say. I just nodded. Words felt unnecessary. "She feels comfortable with you," he said. And I like that. We talked for a long time. About small things and important ones. About my bakery, which is more than a job to me. About his logistics company, something he built over years, carefully, stubbornly, as if life itself could be kept in order through routes and schedules. "And then someone shows up," he said with a soft smile, "and throws all the plans off." I looked at him, and realized I felt the same. When we stepped outside, Grace took my hand. Just like that, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Stephen walked beside us, not rushing, not pushing, and in that moment, I felt it clearly. This wasn't a love that explodes. It was quiet, deep, the kind that wants to stay. That evening wasn't supposed to be anything special. And maybe that's exactly why it became so important. We walked back slowly. Grace walked between us, holding both our hands, as if she was afraid to lose this small world that had suddenly become safe for her. The streetlights along the path glowed softly, warmly, and the air was calm, without wind. Near the car, she stopped and looked at us seriously, far too serious for her age. "You'll see each other again, right?" she asked. "Of course," Stephen said. I nodded, satisfied. Grace kissed my cheek, quick, but sincere. "Good night, Maya." When they drove away, I stood there for a few seconds, watching. Then I heard his footsteps. Stephen had come back. "I'm sorry," he said. "I just didn't want the day to end so quickly." We stood close, very close. I could feel the warmth of his shoulder, the scent of his cologne mixed with the night air. His hand brushed mine, hesitant, unrushed, just fingers touching fingers. And that touch was so careful it made my heart forget how to beat normally. "May I?" he asked quietly. I didn't say yes. I simply didn't pull my hand away. He leaned in slightly. I looked up, and the world narrowed down to that moment. To the quiet between our breaths. The first kiss was short, soft, almost shy. As if he was asking, not taking. I felt everything in it. Respect, the fear of losing, hope. And when I returned the kiss, just a little braver, he smiled without pulling away. "I haven't felt this way in a long time," he whispered. Neither had I, and we both knew it. A year has passed. I don't know it by dates. I know it by the feeling of home. By mornings that no longer begin with silence, but with footsteps. With the smell of coffee and toasted bread. With a child's laughter drifting down the hallway. Our home is filled with light. Not the kind that comes from lamps or large windows, but the kind that lives between people. Stephen taught me that real stability isn't found in schedules and routes. It's in coming back to a place where you're expected. He still wears suits. His logistics company has grown, bigger, stronger, more demanding. But at home, he takes his jacket off immediately. Always. As if reminding himself, here, he doesn't have to be strong. Here, he can simply be himself. Grace has grown. Just a little. She draws the three of us, always holding hands. She calls me, my Maya, and comes to me at night when she feels sad. Sometimes we stay quiet. Sometimes we talk about her mom. I never try to replace her. I'm just there, and that is enough. On Sundays, we bake together. She spills flour everywhere. Stephen pretends to scold her, then kisses me on the temple. Softly, like he always does. Our kisses didn't become louder. They became deeper. Sometimes I realize that happiness isn't a moment. It's a state. When you're seen, when you're protected, when your love doesn't scare anyone. A year ago, it started with a rusty nail and a warm croissant. Today, it's a home, a family, light, and I know, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.